winds blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page lies, it's about to begin. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. There'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend, Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that is trying to hide. Look on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation Pride.
All right, everybody, good morning. Monday morning. Talking Tropics is what we do. Probably be our biggest crowd as things are starting to get a little more clear on what we might expect. So welcome to Mike's Weather Page. This is our daily brew. And it's a very unorganized hour of discussion. So if you are new, welcome. And I try to cover everything. Very hard to read comments. We go live all year long. So I'm not being rude. I like to get right into the latest. So we got verification last night that the National Hurricane Center now is expecting major hurricane to be approaching the Florida coast tomorrow night. Went on a little rant last night. I apologize. This storm has been very emotionally draining for me because of the I don't know. There's a lot of denial, and with the denial came a lot of darts, more than normal. Some from reputable meteorologists, and that kind of stung a little bit. So that's over with. I feel good this morning. I got a lot of supporters. It's just social media. But this is serious, folks. Okay, I want to get into things. We got a major hurricane brewing. Worst case scenario we've talked about for over 2 weeks, I think now, when this thing started being on the radar. I think everybody knew there was a chance. It wasn't just me. Hot waters in Florida don't mix, and it's not, doesn't sounds more science than that, but things are happening as unfortunately we thought they would. So a little bit about me. I'm not a meteorologist. I am a weather hobbyist, so please refer to National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service for all your information. Nothing I say should be used for any sort of planning, decisions. I'm just an average dude like you are, and share my weather thoughts and share models. So It's what we do. I never claim to be anybody more than me. Mike's weather page is Mike. There's nothing official about it. So we are very fortunate to have great sponsors, one of them being ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. 5 years they've been with me. Almost as old as Louis. Louis is 5 years old. So it's great to have companies support our goals, and appreciate that. Here's the current satellite as we ramble. A couple more minutes. We're letting people log in. I don't know what's going on TikTok. I've become I got almost 250,000 followers over in TikTok now. Unbelievable. So welcome if you're new. We're streaming live on X, Facebook, YouTube right now. This is current satellite on tropicaltidbits.com. This is a very important image right now because it's showing huge convection bursts happening at center. These storms pulse. They go through a period of intensification. Then everybody gets worked up. Then they weaken a little bit, and then they do another pulse, and that's what we're seeing now. So they're a little bit this morning. People were like, it's weakening. Well, it wasn't weakening. These things do that. As a matter of fact, if you look that's actually not Tropical Tidbits, but we're going to show a lot of Tropical Tidbits. He's got the same thing on there. But the rainbow tops, or how about this one right here? This is a great example of what's going on currently. So last night we had that big, the blow up was the black, and then we go back to red, and now it's really coming back again. So that's exactly where the center's at. It's right between Cuba and the Yucatan. It's starting to pull north. It's actually showing a north movement now. So it's taken off, no more stationary. The frontal line is approaching, and it's going north. Everything coming together as models predicted. Big question mark today is how strong is it going to get? And that's going to be a big question mark. So let me show you all the latest. So we got Franklin turned into a Category 4 real quick. I know we got people in Bermuda watching, not to act like it's not a big concern, but let me show you Franklin real quick. There's Franklin. Franklin is Category 4 now, or Category 3. Wait a minute now. Hold on a minute. Maybe they just did a special advisory. But anyway, it's a major hurricane. It's going to pass by Bermuda. Still, you're going to get skirts, you're going to get some storms, but the direct impact, luckily, is going to miss everyone. And it's a major. I think I read it was Category 4. So anyway, if you're tuning in for that, that's the scoop on that. Here is Tropical Storm Idalia. Now, I know it's not the right way to say it, but that's the way it goes. And it's a Red Bull kind of morning, by the way. No more coffee from me. And I will be storm chasing starting tomorrow. My hometown. When I was in Texas last week, I posted, it looks like I'll be storm chasing at home, and I guess that I was right. All right, so a lot of questions, I'm sure, about specific locations. I'm going to go over the effects. No one knows who's going to get what. Bottom line, Storm Prediction Center already putting out outlooks. Tornadoes are going to be a big issue tomorrow into Wednesday. But here's the track. Let me just show you what's going on with the track. So, as always, as you've been following me, this is the great unknown. And they mentioned this in their discussion this morning. It could still be strengthening as it nears the coast. So that is always concerning to me. Is my opinion, no different. Just my opinion. They should put an estimated winds at landfall, because that tells you a lot. If it's intensifying at landfall, it's bigger impacts inland. This appears to be intensifying as it makes landfall. They got an H over Jacksonville. I got a lot of people asking me about Jacksonville. Listen, there's going to be a hurricane smack dab on top of you on Wednesday. That includes a large area, southern Georgia, coastal areas. So they're still expecting this to be a hurricane as it passes through the state. So it's not just a coastal event. Remember that. Coastal Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, still the same effects. We got a strong possibility this could still be a hurricane deep, maybe off the Atlantic. Strong storm regardless. So you're going to have a lot of coastal effects along the Carolina coast. So it's not just a Florida issue. It is going to be long gone by Friday. That's never changed. The big question mark is going to be two things. Will it turn anymore? That's the question on everybody's mind. Obviously, we have more people watching in the Tampa Bay area than we do in the Big Bend area. So that's why there's a lot of anxiety for Tampa, which there should be. question on my mind is, I don't know why we don't have evacuations right now. I really don't. I don't know why. I don't know the protocol on evacuations, but I believe we're going to have a lot of evacuations along the Florida West Coast. A lot, including Pinellas County. And I guess they're just going to wait. I don't know. I don't know why. Somebody told me they had to, when they issue evacuations, they had to have shelters open. Well, the kids are in school today. So I don't know. They're going to wait till tonight. But to me, it seems like we could have some chaos happening here as people panic because this is coming tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Tuesday. We should get warnings by 11. That'll at least raise the attention up to people to take this a little more serious. And we could possibly see hurricane warnings past that cone. I know I sound like a broken record, but I gotta say the cone thing. The cone is anywhere the eye can go. It's not the effects. I'm going to tell the story of Julie. If you heard it, you're going to laugh again. I asked Julie, do you want to evacuate? She says, we should be okay. We're on the edge. I mean, obviously she's not listening to me. We already found that out. She watches Dennis, my buddy. The cone is where the eye could go. We're going to see effects way past the edge of that cone. I put a graphic up this morning showing you that. Irma, 2 days away, expected to hit Tampa Bay. Ended up going down to Naples and the Keys. Charlie was supposed to hit Tampa Bay. Turned down to Punta Gorda 2 days before. Ian was supposed to hit Tampa Bay, and it turned. So the people in Fort Myers know exactly what I'm talking about. They were on the edge of the cone. I'm not predicting that. I'm just letting people know, listen, this is so close. And I've been saying over and over and over again, the next time that meaning Tampa, gets a cone to our west, I'm more worried now because 9 times out of 10, these things do a little wiggle wobble the last day. So I'm paying close attention West Central Florida, and this includes Orlando all the way up, obviously, to the East Coast. A strengthening hurricane is going to be strong inland, and not enough. The number one thing I hear is like the inland effects don't get discussed enough. We got a lot of trees. We got a lot of, forests. There's going to be a lot of power outages fixing to come. Guaranteed. So you need to, have a plan. Today's the day to make that really hard decision. Am I going to evacuate? And, getting things ready. I have a lot of great links on my site about how to plan, how to prepare. National Hurricane Center's got a lot of these. They're right here. If you're new and really want to know, right there, plan and prepare. Everything you need to know. NOAA, National Hurricane Preparedness. Great PDF prep file. And then there's another one, what to do before a storm. So if you're worried, which it's okay to be worried, but as I remind people with natural disasters, is a hurricane, they're coming. A lot of other natural disasters, you don't know they're coming until it's like right on your doorstep. Tornadoes, these fires we're seeing, tsunamis, earthquakes, all that you don't have the time that you have right now. So it's important to establish a plan if you're going to evacuate or not. Just there's some great stuff here, great articles, how to your home, insurance, where to get info, strengthening, there's really good info, and that's all on the site. So that's that. Let me show you some of the latest graphics on my page that are very important at this point. I'm at the point too, by the way, that things are kind of downhill for what I do. Now it's National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. The tracks are getting fine-tuned. Latest spaghetti models just came out from Tropical Tidbits. These are your 12Z model suite. They come out around 9 o'clock Eastern. And it's high confidence that that's where the eye wall could go. We could still see a little shift either direction. That's why we have a cone. I posted the European ensembles. they're trending a little bit farther south than this suite here. That's why we have the cone. So 11 o'clock in the morning, coming up, another hour and a half, there's going to be a brand new cone from the National Hurricane Center with any adjustments to their thinking on track. And we look at that, and I don't think we'll see much shift either way. It really depends on where this thing sets up and turns. So if you're living on the Florida West Coast, you might be thinking, well, what's all the fuss about? Like, why is Mike hyping Tampa Bay or whatever? And I'll tell you why. The east side of a hurricane is usually the worst side. There's a better side to be on a hurricane, and there's a bad side to be on a hurricane. Well, the bad side to be on a hurricane is the east side. And this graphic got updated last night. This is your surge map. So 7 to 11 is serious. That's red. But notice the surge all the way down the Florida coastline. They raised 6 to 9 foot all the way to Tarpon Springs. And they got 4 to 7 foot now for Tampa Bay, including Pinellas County, down to Longboat Key. 4 to 7 foot of surge. Why is that a big deal? Well, because Eta didn't even get to that. It was like 4 foot of surge. Eta was the record surge in Tampa Bay. I think it was 3.81. Don't quote me, but I think that's what it ended up being. That was the highest surge since 1991, since that buoy in the bay started recording data. So we might be seeing the highest surge our area has seen since maybe the 1921 hurricane. That's reality. 4 to 7 feet. We got a supermoon king tide tomorrow night. Luckily, it's not a peak around midnight, so we'll dive a little deeper into the tides. But regardless, high tide is going to be higher than normal. And that 4 to 7 raised my eyebrows a lot last night. This thing shifts a little bit east, it could be higher or stronger. So that's a big important graphic to share. Another important graphic to share is the timing of winds. This one seems to get people a little confused. This is the earliest that you might start feeling tropical storm force winds. So Tuesday morning, tomorrow, the southern part of Florida could start feeling tropical storm force winds. And you might say, well, why that makes sense? Because landfall's Wednesday morning. Well, there's going to be a lot of weather out ahead of the center. The landfall is where the center makes landfall. We're going to see a lot of storms out in front of our system. That's why we're going to see tropical storm force winds tomorrow, starting early. Could happen in the Keys latest tonight, Monday night, 8 p.m., Tuesday, 2 a.m. So the Keys tonight, we're going to start seeing squall lines, feeder bands. I call them squall lines. Technically, they're feeder bands. I think it's because of Jimmy Buffett now. Squalls out on the water, or squalls out on the Gulf Stream. That's why I always say squall, because that's my favorite song. And notice the Carolinas, Wednesday 8 a.m., Wednesday 8 p.m. So, that's the earliest that you could possibly see tropical storm force winds. That's why, they're going to start issuing evacuations, I would think, soon. Can't have buses on the road. So more than likely, guaranteed, there's going to be a ton of school closures tomorrow on Wednesday. All right, so your rain maps are a pretty big deal. We're starting to see red popping up. Red would be 10 to 15 inches of rain. Large area, 6 to 10 inches of rain, including the west parts of Florida, all the way up through middle parts of Georgia here, lower parts, that is. Carolinas, orange. That's steady, consistent modeling data. You always end up with little pockets of more when these storms set up, rain training sometimes, and they'll just continually pump rain in one particular area. So, there will be spots that have more. You just don't know where they're going to set up. So that's an important graphic too. Let's talk about here's the flood potential map. It's pretty big. Red is pretty moderate. Remember, Pink is very rare. Red's pretty rare for that large area. All right, so storm surge maps and warnings are up. You can use these. Storm surge inundations is a good map to kind of get an idea where you're at. I don't know if they really updated much more though. It's showing yesterday's, but this is realistic areas that could see flooding with the current track and the current projection. But there's a large area here in Pinellas County, down here, Manatee County. Even though the storm's not making a direct landfall, these are areas that flooded bad during Eta, and they're predicted to again. So, again, Eta, more, Eta times this. It could be more than Eta. So if you had any water issues during Eta, you're more than likely going to see them again, if not more. This is Clearwater Beach. So that's what I'm saying. We're going to have a lot of evacuations coming soon. The Anclote River, it's supposed to be even higher. Newport Richey area. So pay attention to those surge warnings that might be coming out hopefully soon. I don't know why it's. Anyway, all right. Storm Prediction Center, like I showed you real quick. Here is the. Let me zoom in a little closer here. We can get a more detailed look for tomorrow. So tomorrow, there's your Storm Prediction Center outlook. Yellow's usually bad. Green's pretty bad. We've seen tornadoes in dark green. Okay, dark green can produce tornadoes, and that includes basically the whole peninsula tomorrow. And that includes into the night. This is a tricky map because it transitions to Wednesday. So, later tomorrow night, it actually increases west or eastward. Tornado outlook, 5%. Almost guarantees we'll have a tornado watch in the Brown area tomorrow. The Wednesday areas here obviously extend to North Florida and coastal Georgia, along with South Carolina, North Carolina. So that's obviously the Wednesday. So there you go. Those are real. That's tornado possibilities. Let's see what the Brown looks like for that day, and that would be they usually day 3 though. Day 3 it's a little tougher for them to do it. They don't do a tornado outlook like they do on day 2. So basically, if you're in the yellow, pay attention. All right, so 11 o'clock updates coming. Like I said, I guess if if we were to get any sort of track adjustment, it could be a little maybe back to the west. It could be a tick to the west, possibly, because this thing is going to pretty much go straight north. So we'll watch for that. This is the latest European ensembles. These are 6Z. These just came out, weathernerds.org. See, I don't see any bumps in the track to the east. At this point, we're going to see little wiggles, little wobbles, but 6Z model suite just came out, and black is the mean, the average. You got this one outlier that's kind of messing things up, but a direct hit into west central Florida still not showing as a very high probability, but we have to prepare for the worst because of what we've seen with history. So that is why we have hurricane watches and warnings are going to be put up. Again, the size of the storm is humongous. It's definitely intensifying rapidly. Maybe we'll have to see what the hurricane hunters find. The cloud tops here, right where the center is continuing, and look at that lightning in the very, 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 very middle. We talked about this yesterday. That is clear signs that there's lightning going on in the center of circulation, which is definitely 100% that it's strengthening as it's expected to strengthen. There's no secret to that. So that's what it looks like, though. When you get lightning in the very center of a developing system, that's a clear sign that this thing is really trying to strengthen. Winds are already 65 miles an hour. So I have a link to Hurricane Hunters on the page. Hurricane Hunters goes to Tropical Tidbits. Hurricane Hunters are out there all day. There's probably all kinds of missions right now. They're out there now. I mean, center's clear as day. Obviously, they're finding it. There's Hurricane Hunters doing an awesome job. Starting to see some bigger wind barbs popping up. So we'll watch that throughout the day. Probably be a hurricane today, I would think. Pressures are down to 990 now. So that's pretty low. There's your big winds. Oh, heck yeah, man. Those are hurricane winds. We might have a hurricane at 11 o'clock. I bet you we have a hurricane at 11 o'clock. The way that looks, we're going to have a hurricane at 11 o'clock. Okay. All right. Let's look at the latest models. It's always kind of weird at this point when we do these lives because we go longer when there's speculation, it seems like, and there's not a lot of speculation right now, which is good. Anyways. All right, so what's going on in the chat? Anything, Shelly? What's the buzz? I am not answering questions. I'm sorry. I will here in a minute maybe, but I just can't do it when there's a bazillion. Jim Cantori, my boy, yep, we're going to meet up. There is a fuel contamination I read. I believe it was Sitco, right? Is that correct? They're worried about. Mike Shoemake, good morning. Yeah, the Keys are going to feel something soon. It looks like by tonight we can start seeing. A lot of people ask about their hometown. I understand people are worried. Hurricane Hunters are probably flying multiple missions there today. And like I said, I have a link. TropicalTidbits.com there's a lot of places, but I love Levi to death, so I share his as much as possible. Right here, Hurricane Hunters. I click on that, and you go to Hurricane Hunter page, and these are in-mission flights happening right now. Low-level reconnaissance. This is the NOAA 3 mission. There's Air Force mission here. So they have two. They have 3 planes out. Well, this one just got finished, but very important because they're going to be measuring the upper level atmosphere above. They'll be actually doing checks in the Panhandle and south parts of the U.S. because they're going to start measuring this approaching front, and they're going to want to know how strong that steering currents are going to be to help determine this thing when it's going to turn. So it's amazing the data that the Hurricane Hunters collect. It's more than just the storm itself. They want to know what's going on out there, out ahead of it. So they'll be actually, checking humidity levels in here. They'll be checking dry air. They'll be checking the environment out ahead of it because they're going to want to know what's going to happen when it gets up here. They'll be checking up here. They're going to want to know the high pressure or the frontal line basically, and steering currents and how strong this is going to be, and that's what's going to ultimately turn our system. And they kind of want to know these things to help determine. They want that cone to be as small as possible so they can prepare people on the worst with the winds and surge. So yeah, Kevin Guthrie's coming in today. We're going to do a special live with Kevin Guthrie. That will be this afternoon, this evening, so watch for that. It'll be great to have the state of Florida coming to our page and let everybody know the latest on probably Hurricane Idalia by then. So that'll be tonight. All right, so let's look at the latest model. So if anything, like I said, it looks like a little tick to the west possibly. The NHC will probably say a little nudge to the west. My gut feeling would be. Let's look at some of the latest intensity models on Tropical Tidbits. They use these a lot. These are hurricane-specific models that do a pretty good job of predicting intensity, not so much path, but obviously the H-WRF is not following the NHC cone, but as far as intensity goes, the H-WRF is showing a 944 just off the coast of Tampa. And why this is important is if this intensity is 944 off the coast of Tampa and this thing is closer, I keep saying Tampa, but I mean West Central Florida. Tampa Bay blankets a lot of people. I don't ever try, obviously I try. But anyway, 944, pretty darn serious. And then and the thing we're looking here is, other than the 6Z Euro, which I'll show you, they're all showing a deepening on approach. 960, 50, 40, 30. That's a strong hurricane. Rapid intensification is very real. It happens in the Gulf a lot. The latest HAFSA is the new hurricane model that did very well last year. It is showing 952 just off the coast of Tampa and 947 landfall. So basically the same theme here. And it's important to note this. This is what the biggest point I'm trying to make. The lower the pressure, the stronger the system. Bottom line. 940 is a very strong hurricane. But because it's deepening on landfall, as you go through, it does not weaken much at all. Florida's flat. It's going to be pulling in moisture from the Atlantic to help this thing maintain itself. So it's still showing 952, almost hitting the Georgia line. 969 over Jacksonville. That's still a pretty strong hurricane. That's why we have a hurricane on top of Jacksonville. This thing isn't going to weaken much, and it could maintain a hurricane even as it exits closer to Carolina coast. And don't forget the way these things work. Strong storms incoming. And this would be later Wednesday. A lot of areas up that way are already starting to show up on surge maps. They'll be dealing with the king tides also. Charleston. The areas that are prone to flooding normally are going to be magnified with this push of water from our system sliding by. The latest wave map from the Euro is going to show, I don't think they have the 18Z. So latest Euro, 18Z, kind of went strong again. It stayed a little to the north. It weakened a little bit though. It's the first model that I saw any weakening, but it went from 958 to 963. So that's the strongest yet from the Euro, 958. That was a 6Z model run. Overnight, though, it didn't show that as much. It went a little higher. So the wave maps are going to be a little deceiving. But let me just kind of give you an update on what the wave maps are going to look like off of the Tampa coastline here. So even at that weakening last night, the 00Z, it still showed 42 feet just off of Tampa Bay. Now that's not surge, but winds push that water in, and the unknown is that surge. When you got waves out there in the shallow Gulf of Mexico building, it's gonna definitely add to the water issues along the coast. So the way surge works is this. Something, a little tidbit I didn't really know until a couple years ago, but you have your surge and then you have your tide. So they basically combine it as a storm tide now, but then you have the waves on top of that. So the waves are completely different than surge. So if your surge is 7 foot, let's say, then you add waves to that, and they can be pretty high. So 7 foot surge with incoming waves, which are produced by winds, and this already flow of water are going to add to those waves. So that's where the surge gets tricky. When you see surge maps, it does not take in consideration waves. Waves are additional on top of surge. So anyway, so we're watching the storm now. Oh, great question. All right, I'm going to read a little buzz here, but like Elena sat out there for a long time, constantly pushing that water in. So that type of scenario, might have magnified Elena, but it was sat way out there. It was way off the coast. But it just shows you that where Elena was, somewhere like way up here somewhere, was it 1985? That we still had a lot of coastal issues along the coast. So yeah, great advice, Barbie over there. Know your zone. Somebody just posted Pasco County just made evacuations in A. I'm sure Pinellas County soon, I would think. Aircraft recon, there's two missions going on currently right now, so pressure looks like it's dropping. They haven't fixed. They haven't marked yet the latest center on this run. I don't have data going back there yet to see. They're flying back now, but we'll see what the latest pressure, flight level pressure they have down below 990. I don't know if that's how they're going to ping it, but that's pretty darn low. Stronger now means stronger later. The stronger it gets now, the more we got to worry about rapid intensification. This is going to be bad. Let me tell you, it's going to be bad. If you live anywhere where this thing makes landfall, and you're in a surge zone, we saw with Ian, we people escaping attics. It was a nightmare. We had flooding inland from Ian. There was neighborhoods flooded from Ian, from rivers, fresh water. Rivers back up, Anclote, Tarpon, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen there, but Tarpon's right on that edge of even having more than 7 foot. They're at 6 to 9 possibly, Anclote River. That's, 6 to 9. So anyway, what else we got? So if Pinellas County's having a meeting at 10 a.m. That's great news. Coastal North Carolina, South Carolina, yes, totally. That's flood potential. 100%. Well, listen, let's look at the latest. I'll tell you what, I got a new link on my page. Let me show you that. It's not quite including the Carolinas yet, but I meant to share this earlier. It's called an NHC threat map there. If you click on it, they might actually show you. This is Tarpon, or Tampa. I wonder, I might be able to change it to your area, but let me show you what this map does. So when you click on that map, you go to threats and impacts. And it might include that region if I zoom out. I don't think they're there yet. But this map will show you areas for potential wind. So according to National Weather Service, we can see wind gusts of 110 in the purple area. That's all the way through Pinellas, maybe parts of Manatee. Wind gusts greater than 110. Possible. Not everybody's going to get that, but a lot of folks possibly. Palm Harbor. This map's tricky because during the last few hurricanes, it obviously adjusts with track changes, but this is where you see gusts, not sustained. Red, 74 to 110. And that's all the way across the state. Southern Georgia, northern Florida. So I got that link on there. You can see. So that's, I mean, like I said, a lot of people going to get wind regardless of landfall. Storm surge, we already talked about. Flooding rain, we kind of talk about. Here's your tornado threat. We talk about that with the SPC. Obviously, orange is several tornadoes. So there you go. I don't know how to get to other regions. Let's see here. Regional headquarters. Let's see that. Yeah, we'll do the measure and the size. I don't know maybe if it's just not updated yet, because they usually don't update that map. But as far as coastal areas go, let's kind of give you an idea what it would look like. Obviously, you're in a tropical storm warning area. So when this thing exits Florida, the reason there's not watches yet for you guys in the Carolinas, it's outside of 48 hours. So maybe by 11 they'll probably issue watches along the coastline, maybe hurricane watches. But as the storm exits, it's still going to have a low pressure, and you're going to see a lot of storms out ahead of this thing spiraling in. Same thing, the Gulf Stream is going to magnify these storms. Current track, I don't like to show the center, but we can still see a 65 mile an hour sustained wind just off the coast of Carolina. That's the latest advisory. So that's 65 mile an hour sustained wind. Gusts 75. Myrtle Beach, Charleston. So you're gonna have possible hurricane as this thing exits and plops back over the water again. Size of storm. Let's hopefully Weather Nerd site isn't down. Let's take a looky here. We'll see it. It consolidates a little bit now that the thing's getting a little. Boy, it's really magnifying right now. That lightning is intense. There's 400. It's 450. 450. I mean, I could technically say that's part of the. So I would feel comfortable saying 450. Yeah, 450. 450. 450. Another question I get a lot of, click on public advisory here from the National Hurricane Center. People always want to know how the winds. So on the very bottom, somewhere here, in the discussion of the storm, discussion and outlook, it tells you how far out tropical storm force winds extend. That's a lot of people ask me that. So as of their 5 a.m. advisory, 7 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Eastern. I don't know if they update that from 5, but anyway. Tropical storm force winds extend out 70 miles from the center. So technically, it's not 140, but 70 from or 70 from the center, more than likely on the east side. Cool. There's that. We'll see what they say if we get a little track change or not. Surge is so hard to predict who gets what. I have a great tides page here on the bottom. Maybe I should move it up there. It's called Noah's got one too. I'm sure you all got one too. It's easy to find them. Here's the U.S. coastal tide charts. And we could pretty much zoom into areas here and see exact locations on tide. So, for example, let's say Clearwater. there should be a button here, more data, tide projections. Okay, so for tomorrow, high tide tomorrow is around 10:30 in the morning. Low tide is around 5 p.m. tomorrow. So we got to go to the next day. And here is the 29th. And it looks like, oh, I didn't go to the next day yet. I need to update it. How do I update it? Forward one day. How about I just do that? Okay. So the next, so it kind of, man, see, this is kind of bad, actually. So Wednesday morning, it's, today is what? Monday. All right, so we're talking the 30th. So here's, well, I got one more day. I'm all messed up. But yeah, this constant. All right, so 12 o'clock. Let's go back to Tuesday. I'm thinking in my head about something else. Sorry. So tomorrow night, so this doesn't go. So this all right. So I'm looking. So tomorrow night it doesn't hardly go down. It's 2:32 at midnight, and that's Tuesday night. That's when this thing's going to be really close passing by. But it stays at 1, then it goes to 4 feet in the morning, about before noon. So this is the time to worry about. So it's not the worst case scenario. That's me and Phil were looking at all this last night, but it's still high as this thing slides by. And this would be Wednesday morning, midnight. So, increasing tide Wednesday night, or Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, excuse me. Tomorrow night, Wednesday morning. This would be the time that we have to worry about with any flooding. And unfortunately, that's overnight. And that's because the storm's going to be passing by. Oh, good. All right. So, again, it looks like a little bit of possible shifts a little bit to the... We'll see. They might say it. They might say a little nudge. I don't know. You don't know. But intensity looks intense. I think very likelihood of a major hurricane, and now the Euro's in the 950 range. So yeah, so we'll be storm chasing on Facebook and YouTube starting tomorrow. We'll have a game plan. We'll be out there in the field, hopefully, meeting up some officials. I know a lot of our supporters are going to be in town. Furman's going to be bringing their team in. Tammy's on her way down from Iowa. OSR Lodging Solutions will be setting up. I know Frank will be getting going. Done Right Roofing, locally here, they're going to be out there and about getting folks tarped up after the hurricane. We get 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts here along the Florida West Coast. There's going to be people needing roofs, so that's why we have a great partner with Done Right here on the Florida West Coast. Of course, we did a lot with Decks and Docks. I think we got a lot. We're going to do a video with them coming up soon. But seawalls, they're one of the leaders with seawall technology. So hopefully all seawalls here locally hold up. I know my favorite place, Whiskey Joe's, just put new seawalls up, and they got them from Decks and Docks, the new corrugated technology, not so much cement. So we have a lot of coastal areas. They're going to get a pounding from these waves, and passing by hurricane. You know, we saw that over there with Daytona, the winds, the constant battering of the coast. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a direct landfall. You know, you're going to have bad effects regardless. So tomorrow night, so the most the most serious winds are still going to be overnight. You know, this is overnight, tomorrow night into Wednesday. It's hard to tell the angle of the storm, but this is when we'll start seeing the effects along the coast. So, unfortunately, it's been all timing overnight, Tuesday into Wednesday morning, for the effects to start really going downhill. This is a wind map. So coastal areas tomorrow night, man, I know boaters, hopefully, prepping sailboats, boats. I mean, we've had storms over here on our coast where we have had a lot of boats break free, break loose. I mean, so I know all the boaters out there having to prepare right now. But at this point, you got to trust your local governments, trust National Hurricane Center, trust these updates. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry at this point. Every update's a little bit more confidence, and that's great. Tracks are going to get a little bit more fine-tuned. You just got to remember, if you're in that cone, man, us especially here in Tampa, 3 different times it was coming at us and it turned. So I guess my only worry would be that happening again to our west, turning and catching a lot of people off guard. All right, so that's about it. Shelly's bringing in her plants today. Dennis has been texting me. Let's hope he just sent me that. Holy cow. Me and Dennis text a lot. So I'm texting him back right now. I don't want to be too rude. That's a little bump west. So, my thinking is we're going to see a little track change, bump to the west a little bit, just a little bit, and probably see a ton of hurricane warnings pop up. Everybody's phones are going to be going off at the same time. We're going to have hurricane warnings up along a huge part of the Florida West Coast up into the Big Bend area. So everybody's phones are going to be ringing. And we'll see watches likely put up along Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. We'll probably start hearing a lot more evacuation orders. And that kind of stuff. So I'm good. I don't need to rest. I just go. Bahamas, Heidi wants to know. Nope. You're good. Randy, the west side, you're still close enough that I would be worried a little bit because this thing keeps going north. It might not turn, as much. Stronger systems kind of do what they want. They don't really make hard right turns or hard, they kind of do things gradually. If you remember when we were tracking all these other storms, we started seeing the turn down here, So a lot of it's going to depend on what happens today. I was starting to draw a chart and I didn't, but basically Ian and Charlie were somewhere around here. So I was trying to compare, if it did the same track, and it did stay a little north of Tampa. But people ask me all the time, why did Tampa escape those storms? Well, that's almost due north. So they both bend at the last second a little bit. I mean, not much. A 20-mile bend went from here to here. It does not take much in like a degree. So I guess my big advice to anybody is that don't focus on that center line. Don't focus on landfall, who's going to get the worst of it. It's a big system. We're going to have effects well past center. Coastal effects do not care. As a matter of fact, let me show you the radar from Brian McNulty's site here. Back in 2020. Here was Ada. This was a tropical storm, Ada. This is what flooded all the homes in Pinellas County. There it was. That's how close Ada got. And it made landfall kind of in the same spot. It was a weak tropical storm. Officially, it was a tropical storm. But as it passed, this is the spiraling of the winds. It just pushed the water into the bay towards Pinellas coastline. So it's an example of a non-direct hit of a tropical storm that created a lot of problems, a lot of surge, record surge in Tampa Bay. That's why I'm a little more trying to explain the surge. And then when the NHC came out with their updated surge map, it at least solidified a little bit that there's a chance. So, all right. So listen, we'll be doing something live tonight. We'll be live tomorrow. But things now are becoming more and more confident. This is weird. This is like, I don't know what more I can say other than facts at this point. Speculation is almost gone. Let's compare Ian real quick. What happened with Ian? Let's just use this map. There's the only one that popped up. A couple days before Ian, there was a lot of spaghetti models going up to the Panhandle when the majority of the European ensembles were doing that. So that was not confident. This made sense, but there was a lot of confusion because the cone was wide. There were spaghetti models that were west. At this point, we got a lot of consistency in models. Not only is the Euro, the GFS, they're all pretty much consistent with this idea of a landfall north of Tampa Bay. So I can't see anything really except some ensembles showing a possible curve. So today's important. We'll see. If ensembles bounce back and forth, then we're going to keep that option open. But for now, that's pretty locked in. I still, a lot of the modeling is suggesting a little curve down here before it does. I didn't mean to draw that. I was trying to draw this. They're showing a little curve before that turn. So, if it doesn't do that little curve, if it goes straight north, then we're going to see it turn a little more to the east. So it's all important down here what it does. These initial tracks in the next 24 hours, every plot, you're going to want to see it stay on these plot points. And if it sways a little bit off these plot points, then it starts riding, the outer edge of the suite. Black is the mean, though. And there's models. So I think I would almost bet we're going to see a nudge in the cone a little bit to the west. We see that. We see a little east, a little west, a little east, a little west, a little east, a little west. We've seen east, east, east. Maybe we go back to west. That's always happens. Effects are the same, though. Cool. All right. Well, listen, a lot of new folks following. We really appreciate it. Hope it made sense. I got all the resources on the website. You know, that's been the start. 2004, I started this whole journey. And today, almost 20 years later, it's the same. Just having a place to go for information. And hopefully everybody has it available to them at their fingertips. And there you go. All right. So I got to get prepped for this next National Hurricane Center update. I'm telling you, we're going to have a slew of hurricane warnings coming out, and things are going to go into overdrive. People are going to be going a little bonkers here. I'm really anxious on when they're going to start doing evacuations in Pinellas County. I guess Pasco just announced Zone A. So know your zone. Remember, almost 90% of all hurricane deaths are water related. So the advice they're giving everybody is, if you're in an evacuation zone near the water, you know, you go tens of miles. I love this statement. You go tens of miles away, not hundreds of miles away. The whole idea is to get away from that water. And the wind, you know, if you're worried about, you know, dying, I hate saying that word, but stay away from water. You know, water is almost 88%, I think, the latest stat, and that includes freshwater, inland flooding, along with surge. So flooding inland is just as bad as flooding coastal. Holy cow, Shelly, we get some weird chat box things going on here. What? So, don't drive in flooded roads. Yeah, learn from me. Do not drive fast on flooded roads because water ends up into your air intake. UK model, somebody asked, hey, thanks for asking that. Let's take a look. It's been trending kind of the same as everybody else as far as north of Tampa Bay. Let's take a look at the latest UK, the European model here. I like this one here. 00Z. Yeah, see, same. So there's really no model showing anything make a direct landfall south of Tampa Bay. I mean, we got pretty good confidence. I mean, again, it was like 4 days ago we were talking, you know, there to there. It's tightening up. Effects are the same, though. It's still going to get a lot of nasty weather off to the east side. We can look at the some high-resolution radar maps here, which hopefully are coming into play a little bit more here. Let's take a look at radar. And this gives you an idea why the keys. All right, so here's tonight. So we got storms already expected in the lower parts of Florida tonight from our feeder bands wrapping around, incoming. And these can be strong. These feed off of the Gulf Stream. These feed off of these warm waters. So these are what you worry about initially. And this is where we get a lot of tornado warnings on a storm in the formation stage. Even though the eye is still going to be way the heck down here by Cuba, we're already going to start seeing squalls out on the water, feeder bands. This is 18Z. This is like 6 hours from now, basically. Not even that. So this is like Monday afternoon. And then tomorrow morning, you know, daytime heating kicks in, and we're starting to see it again. So there you go. These are what you look at. This is, you know, oh, God, I knew I was going to do that. Man, it's so hard to navigate around these stupid little timestamps. All right, so it's like a dang puzzle. All right, so here's tomorrow. Just showing you. I mean, we're going to be seeing incoming storms all day long around this thing. And we could have actually some over Louisiana. I mean, believe it or not. You're going to be feeling the effects, believe it or not, in the Panhandle. I mean, I wish I could put this in animation mode. But this is tomorrow. And then, obviously, wherever this thing decides to make landfall, this would be overnight. This is almost Wednesday morning. But this is the second part of the story. All this out here will start to follow in. And even though this system will be causing havoc on the Carolinas, this is Wednesday, we're going to see continuing bands of storms rolling in behind out of the Gulf. So the flow is going to switch. And as this system, look, this is the area you got to worry about. Look at these big old, incoming feeder lines. I mean, look, we can still see an eye wall right off the Carolina coast, but these feeder bands are going to be what we need to watch when things shift over to the other coast. This is hour 66. Here's 69. Look at that. This is Wednesday night. Lines down in Florida. Lines coming in hot and heavy off the Atlantic towards the Carolina coast. And this is going to extend all the way towards Thursday morning. This is Thursday morning. By Thursday night, definitely by Friday, it's long gone. This is tomorrow afternoon, or this is Wednesday afternoon, excuse me. So it'll be stormy 2 days regardless across the peninsula. But this is Wednesday morning. So if we have Wednesday a.m. landfall, Tuesday is going to be rough leading into the nighttime hours. So, all right. So, all right. Hello, everybody. Cool. So, the Natural Hurricane Center is a good one to follow. They do a lot of updates on social. Of course, my buddy Dennis Phillips is doing live stuff all the time. Florida, Kevin Guthrie's office, Florida Division of Emergency Management is doing updates all the time. So please pay attention to that. It's so strong right now. Somebody says they've announced 983. Are you kidding me? Is that true? If it's 983 already, that would be unbelievable because that would be bad. That's Franklin. Jeez, that's a category. That's massive. Yeah, well, they haven't fixed it yet or fixated it yet. So we'll see, man. I mean, if it's 983 already, we're seeing rapid intensification happening, which is not good. Remember what happened with Ian? This thing develops an eye. Eye cycles don't last forever. And what happened with Ian was it went through an eye wall replacement right before land. That expanded the eye. And when you get an expanded eye, you get a lot more effects away from the center. And that's kind of what happened. We had a lot more effects, mainly on the east side with surge. But, hurricane timing of intensification, you don't want to intensify a hurricane by landfall, ever. That's a lot worse than a storm that's starting to ingest dry air. And none of the models are really showing any signs that it's going to be, other than the latest 18 or 6Z Euro showed a little bit of weakening, 958 to 962. Don't know if that's this interaction with the coastline, cool air, who knows, or cool shelf waters, but yeah. Cool. All right. Well, stay tuned. Shelly, thanks for all your work. We will be live tonight, hopefully with Kevin Guthrie. We'll talk about the effects of Florida and what Florida's doing to get ready for this thing. be live tomorrow. Then I'm off storm chasing. So follow me on all my socials so you can come along for the ride. All right. See you all later. Bye-bye.